Hi, this is movie 9, and we're going to concentrate on the mouth area on this movie, but before I do so, I want to turn off my clicky copy here, and I want to show you that at the last stage of movie 8, when I had it on the screen, I'm going to put it on this screen, I had noticed as I was showing you the last part of movie 8, which is here, I actually had a layer that was buried underneath in this layer palette here that was turned off. And so I wanted to show you where it was, and in doing so and in locating it, I moved it higher, of course, as you're going to see in a second right there, and I organized my layer palette a little bit better. So what I have is a new folder on top with a bunch of blank layers right here, and it's called mouth area. I'm going to just leave it on. Then I have the eye area folder, and inside, of course, are all the eye layers and the eye area around it. I have a nose area, and I have a highlight area. So when I start removing things like this, and I have a face fill layer, which is where that layer over here ended up being turned off. Okay, I just didn't turn it back on. And I had to soften a couple of things on it, and the layer was actually right there. Okay, just so you know that that might happen to you, and just go in and stay as organized as you possibly can. And now let me turn on all the detail layers, and let's move in on the mouth. Now the mouth is going to be handled in exactly the same way as the eye was, so I'm going to put base values in there, and in showing you that, I want to take the clicky copy right here, which I actually have masked out the background. As you can see on this one, I have a clicky copy with the background, like that, and a clicky copy without the background. And I kind of want to show you why I do that, okay? The reason why I'm moving this down is because I've created something. I went in and I created the paths for my little reference lady here, and I'm going to turn, for a moment, I'm going to turn down the opacity on that layer. Let me just turn off the nose area so we can see the paths as I click on them. Here's my mouth 1 path, and let me zoom in, and I'll take the P key and I'll click on it. So I have a path for the mouth, which is going around the outer side of the mouth. So I'll turn that on, and you can see what that looks like. Oh, that's my clicky face base. Okay, let me move this up on the top so I can keep on clicking back and forth. So now you can see that path as I have it, and I went a little bit to the outside of the mouth because the mouth is such a softening, the color of the lips don't just stop and the face starts. It blends in. So we're going to use the technique of a layer mask, of course, and diffusing the edge of the layer mask both with Gaussian blur and then painting on the layer mask in different areas, because again, if I click away from this path, the mouth is not a perfect thing. And because the mouth is not a perfect thing, just like the eyes weren't a perfect thing here, I can gather selections from using color range, but this time I'm going to use those selections to hand paint in all the little lines and the little creases that make up the mouth. So here's my, again, let me turn this off, this being the clicky copy, so we can see. So you can see the path better, which I think you can. So there's the outer one. I also made an inner one. Maybe I should just leave this on. I made an inner one, which I'll take and I'll click on it so you can see it. Then I made a horizon. And the reason why I went outside the horizon is because you can see that I can command click the overall mouth if I choose to, turn on the horizon one, go Command Option Shift to intersect the two, or Control Alt Shift, and now you can see how I can isolate the bottom lip by itself, and then I could save that as a selection just and have it be bottom lip, or I could have Command Z'd back, and instead of intersecting it, I could have subtracted it from the one that is selected. So let me make that statement again. I could Command click that, which is my mouth, and then I could subtract the horizon, which gives me the top half. So I can do both, and it didn't take long to do either. So I'm going to now, just like I did the face, we're going to create a base foundation value on the mouth layer. So let me open up the mouth layer folder. But before I start painting, just wanted to show you something. Let me put this back at 100% and then turn it off. Now, in looking at the mouth, and I want this one to be on, I created for the veins of the mouth, for the creases of the mouth. I'm sorry, I'm going to zoom in again. I think I have enough room on the screen for this. But I created already the color range selections. And I'll show you how I did the first one, and then you can see how I did them all. But in saving the colors in the swatches palette, look down here. I've created a tonal pattern here, like a gradient scale, okay? And I actually made it on the screen here. So I wanted you to see all the colors that I saw that made up the mouth from the darkest to the lightest. So I have these 6 colors on top, and between number 5 and number 4 I actually have something that I've saved here, which is really that color that I'm pointing to right here with the move tool. Okay, I'm pointing to that color right there because I want to vignette that color and bring back that beautiful red, that ruby red inside the lips. Okay, now here are the selections that I made, and what I want to do is to turn off my entire thing and turn on this white background and turn on the lips that I used as my color range. So I made a higher layer of this reference by Command J-ing the regular. I used this mouth 1 path, and I clicked on the clicky copy. I hit Command J and I made this. Now I'm going to leave it selected, and let's go. I'll show you how I actually made the mouth 1. I'm going to click on it so you can see the darkness there and how I made the light and the dark. This is actually the selection that I'm going to use for the rich red black. Now I have to go all the way back up and click on the RGB image to begin this process. Okay, so let me zoom in on that, and I'll show you how I did the first one, of course. And then I just used the eyedropper to grab from the dark to the lightest. And I wanted you to see what I saw was the darkest to the lightest. Okay, so just you have to make your own decision. It usually comes out in 5 or 6 colors. Okay, in this case it was 6, and I saw a difference between this red and this red. Okay, so I just wanted to use them both. Now let's get back to what I was talking about. So if you were in CS6, you would use the eyedropper here in the tool palette. So you go grab the eyedropper right there, and you'd click the dark color right there, and then you'd enter color range, and you'd have your color range. But in CC or higher, you have to enter color range, and watch. I'm going to click that dark color right there, and there's my selection. Now, I've left the fuzziness through this entire thing at about 80. So I maintained a consistency. Now look, there is the selection, which you go to select and save the selection. You name it, and I chose to name those selections. Whatever you name it, just keep consistent. Mouth red 1. Now as soon as I saved the selection here under Save Selection, I went to the swatches palette and I clicked, and I saved this color right here as mouth red 1. See, so now I know when I'm using this selection as mouth red 1 here, I'm going to use mouth red 1's color, and so on all the way to the lightest highlighted value. Now let's start at the beginning. Let me turn off this reference. Let me turn off my color chart, and let's turn off the white layer, and let's now start painting the mouth on the mouth 1 area layer. Okay, so this is just like the eye. All right, so I don't have a copy of the mouth nearby. I want to turn on my nose so we can kind of get a feel of where the cleft is and where everything else is and all these colors around it. So I want to click back to the clicky copy. Okay, now look, for a minute it looked like something moved, but it didn't. So now I'm going to take the L key, click on the clicky copy here, and I'm going to make a little bit larger than I need, of course. Well, actually, I need it to be larger, if I said that right. And now I have a copy of the mouth. Let me hold the Shift key and fix my little lasso thing because I'm kind of picky there. And let me just click that and hit Command J. Whoops. Let me click that and hit Command J and hit the V key and move that down or up. I don't know where. I'll move it down. Now I'm going to move the swatches palette down. And I made the swatch palette a larger icon so you could see it better. I'm going to put it over here. And now I can turn off the clicky copy and we can kind of get the feel. Let me move it down a little farther. And now I'm going to click on mouth area 1 and let's try to begin this as quick as I can. So I'm going to click that selection. I am going to click the first value that I see as the medium value. So in the B key, I'm going to grab this color right here and I'm going to click Option Delete. And it's going to fill up the mouth. Now let me hit Command D to deselect. Now let's immediately add the layer mask and let's keep the process going. So with the image part of the layer selected, let's go to blur and Gaussian blur that. And let's just give ourselves a reasonable foundation value for the mouth so my texture can actually take. I'm up to 9. That's pretty good. I like the top of what that's done. I'll put it back to about 16. But the bottom is now too fuzzy. So I would like to remove the bottom fuzzy but leave the top fuzzy. Okay? So how do I do that? Well, you should know by now that if I go back to the selection and I inverse it and I add a Shift F6 feather to about 3 pixels, I can hit Command H and now I'm going to zoom in so we can see me paint. And I'm going to grab my B key. Remember, my flow is at 5. Probably should put it at 8, but I'm okay with 5. I'm going to make sure I'm painting in black and my brush is all the way soft. So when you saw that I just got the brush thing on the screen, that's a right-hand click. I don't know if I've even said that this entire time. So when you're in your brush, you can right-hand click your mouse and then this palette will come up. Okay, so I should have said that a long time ago. But let's click that, which is the layer mask, and now I want to tighten up the bottom. So I'm actually painting on the layer mask and I've tightened up the bottom of that selection. So the top is fuzzier than the bottom. Now let's build towards what we need to build towards. So I'm going to turn on the clicky copy. I want to see where mouth number 2 is. So in mouth number 2, it's this deeper red right here. So I'm going to grab that deeper red, not necessarily the deeper red in the lines. Let me zoom in. I don't want that red, I want that red. So let's grab that red right in that section. And now I may not blast it in here with an Option Delete. So let's turn that off. I may click to this layer. Let's add a, rather than Gaussian blur, let's add a 3-pixeled feather to the selection and hit Command H. Now I'm going to come in here and we're going to add that red that we just saw. Now let's see if it's even affecting anything. So it's kind of like the same red. So I'm going to grab a little bit darker red, just a little bit darker. Now watch the foreground color change and that's what my eye is always on. Watch the foreground color change as I eyedrop out different colors. And now I have a pretty good feel of that, I am indeed making something happen. So now I'm going to paint this here. I'm going to come across the top of the lip and I'm going to hit the top of the lip kind of harder here. And then I'm going to turn on the reference layer and I'm going to hit this a little harder all the way through here. Not worried about the creases or anything else. Now I'm going to go to the next layer up. In the next layer up, let's start the process of going to this red right here. I don't want to get too far with it because my color range layers will help me a great deal, but I do want to give it the benefit of what we're doing here. And I'm going to lastly do the creases. You see the crease of the mouth over here, little smile marks right there, or the frown marks, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to put those in hard, Gaussian blur them, and then put it as the lowest layer. So I want you to see that I'm going to take a brand new layer and I'm going to put it to the lowest part underneath the mouth, and I'm going to call it Smile Creases, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to hit Command S to save the file, and then we are going to continue on mouth area 3. So in mouth area 3, let me start to identify this red right here. And in doing so, I'm going to need to split the mouth apart. So let's go to the Command click on the overall mouth, actually the smaller mouth, and now I want to take the mouth horizon and I want to intersect it. So it's Command Option Shift or Control Alt Shift. Now I have the bottom just like that. Now I hit Command H and I paint right on it. So I'm going to come right like this and I'm painting that color. And I'm just trying to paint right on it, not trying to get super definitive with it. I'm just trying to get where the color is. Now you can see that I'm actually starting to get that red where I want. Now let me make the brush smaller, and usually I don't like when students make brush, or even me makes the brush too small to paint because it can get streaky, you know what I mean? So in this case, streaky's not bad because you're dealing with the mouth, okay? And the mouth is nothing but a bunch of creases and a bunch of streaks. So let me come like this. Now I'm going to inverse this, or I just want you to see what I'm going to do. You see in this mouth right there, see that little line that's right there? See that little line that is that red and then the dark is below it? Well, I want to show where that is. So I'm going to zoom into the mouth. And I'm going to show you in the selection, so I'm hitting Command H, that I need to toggle up the selection and then paint that red. Okay, so I'm going to grab that red again just to make sure I have it. Watch what I do. I'm going to hit the arrow keys and toggle that up higher. See how neat that is? Now, I want to paint on the same layer. Okay, just paint on the same layer. And then I'm going to, I went too far back. Okay, so I'm going to paint on the same layer. Let me get the tools out of the way. And let's turn this off, and now I'm going to hit Command H and I'm going to come up and create that edge that we just talked about. I don't like the color that I use, so I'm going back until the color is gone, and I'm going to grab this red right here, that deeper red that I was using. I'm going to make it even a color picker one on the other screen. I'm going to make it slightly deeper in red, just slightly. Make the brush bigger, and I want to come across that with that red. So let me come across it. Now I think that needs about a 1 pixel Gaussian blur. So let me turn on the reference layer. Remember, it's not going to look good until it's 75% completed. Okay, so now I want to go to the next layer higher, and I'm going to do the top of the mouth. So I'm going to go back to the mouth number 2. I'm going to subtract the mouth horizon. Now I have the top of the mouth. Now I want to use the clicky copy, and I want to start this color right here. I'm hitting Command H, and I'm going to now just lay in this value right in here. So I'm grabbing that value. You can see me doing it. And I'm grabbing that value and I'm just coloring it in here, or shading it, or airbrushing at 5% on the flow. And now let's go see what we've done. So now I've got the mouth area started, and it's looking pretty good to me once I go like this, and I see that I have the colors just about right. And now I need to go grab the bottom, and let's start the dark. So I'm going to go mouth area 5, and I'm going to put in here underscore dark. And I might go dark 1, dark 2, dark 3. I don't know. But let's now go back to the mouth number 2 selection. I'm going to turn on the clicky copy so we can see what we're talking about. I'm going to intersect the horizon. So Command Option Shift, boom. Now I want to zoom in, and you can see that I'm going to paint in this value straight across the mouth. It's really going to make those other values work. So let me hit Command H. I'm going to add a 1 pixeled or 2 pixeled feather to it right now. So let's go 2 pixels on the feather and hit Command H so I can start painting. I think I'm going to put this up to 8, but heck, no more than 8. So let's go like this now, and let's come in like this. I can look at my reference on the bottom, and I can see that I'm doing a really good job. I'm letting go of my pen or my airbrush. I'm letting go pretty significantly as I move through. Now let me turn this on, and let's now paint with a smaller brush, and let's now really hit that edge where it is, it being the dark. Now I need to go to that deeper red, and I need to help the dark. So I might either do it on the same layer, or go to a higher layer, or go to a lower layer. So meaning I can take this, I'm going to click a layer below it, just for the heck of it. I'll even say that this is Command C, this is going to be Command V, and I'm going to go dark red under, which now means I'm writing a book. Command S to save the file, and now I want to grab that red right there, and by painting on the layer underneath it, I'm not truly affecting that dark. Now do you see how nice that red is coming in, but it's not making the dark be diffused, if that makes any sense. So now let's come down like this, let's come across like this, bigger brush, let's now just lay in that color on the lip here. Let's come around. I need the clicky on right now, so I'm going to come through here, and I'm going to come right around like this. Now I want to alter that color to about this pink right over here. Let's turn this off, and now let's make the brush bigger, and let's paint that pink on this side, and I call it like a pinky off gray. So now let's come in here like that, and I almost have enough basis for my texture to start coming in. So let's go to the mouth area 6, and I want to get more of this value on the top of the mouth. So let's take this value right there, and let's increase it on the top of the mouth. So I need to highlight, or I need to isolate, couldn't think of the word, the top of the mouth. So let's go to mouth 2, and let's subtract the horizon. Let's hit Command H, and now I'm only working on the top of the mouth, right? And now I want this color right here to really kind of get in there and help with the shading on this mouth area. Okay, now let me see what I've done, and I think I've done a pretty good job in that I'm not even concentrating on the creases or the skin, but I wanted to say something which really will help your understanding, hopefully. I am judging the colors around it with the face. So my point to you is the reason why it may be working so nice there is because the face colors around it were already to the depth that they needed to be. I didn't say the perfection. I mean, you see this nice color here for the crease, the nice color here for the crease. You can see that I need to, you know, clean up some of the colors, make them deeper around the mouth area, especially on her left side of her face here and her right side, and where the cleft came over and it's to the right side of her mouth. I need to increase those, but I'm not truly worried about them. Now let me go up, and let's now add the layers. I don't have anything on mouth 7, so I'm going to leave it off, but I'm going to start to add the texture layers. So I'm going to go 5 layers for texture, and just the same way, I need to go down on the channel palette. The same way that it's mouth red 1, I should actually double click that, grab the word mouth red, Command C. Let me go back up to the RGB channel so it shows up normally, and let's go down to layer 38 and hit Command V, number 1. Let's go Command V on the next layer, number 2. Let's go Command V, number 3. I did say I was going to need a fix layer for that red, for that middle red, okay? So I'm actually going to go Command V, number 3 underscore fix, because I can already tell I'm going to need a fix layer. Let's go Command V, number 4. Let's go Command V, number 5. And number 5 really should be the highlight area. I need one more, and I'm going to put, I think it's number 6 is the highlight. So let's go Command V, number 6 underscore highlights. That's how much I like to be organized. Now, just like the eye, let's go grab some of that texture, but please, this is not an option or an alt backspace or an option delete fill. It's a paint. Now we're going to use the colors that we need along with the selections that we need. And I'm going to stop this movie as soon as I am to this point, and then I'll even maybe begin balancing the mouth along on the creases on the sides. But let's get to one thing here. So I'm going to go down in my channel palette to mouth red 1, and I'm making a selection of mouth red 1. Now I'm going to click the mouth red 1 color. I'm on the mouth red 1 layer. So everything is good, but let me hit Command H. Now I want to make the brush large, and this is going to start to add. Now do you see, let me Command Z back. I want to zoom in and I want to show you what it's going to add. See, when I paint, do you see what it's adding there? It's adding that glorious texture that I could never ever try to draw a path, and if I did try to draw that path, it would take forever. Now that is a beautiful texture, and it's following exactly the stuff that I need. Now let's go to the next color. So let's go to the next layer, mouth red 2. Let's go to mouth red 2 selection. Whoops, I hit the wrong key. I'm sorry. I have to go all the way up to the RGB, all the way down to mouth red 2. I'm going to look at what I'm doing. Command click it, Brian. Now let's hit Command H to hide that. And let's make sure we're painting in mouth red 2's color. So I'm going to go down, and now I want to not just blast it in there. I want to come across. Look at how that's adding all that cool texture. Let's come around like this, and let's add the texture here, and then let's add this texture on top. Okay, wow, is that absolutely stunning. That is really good, and it's only my second layer that I'm actually putting in here. Wow, is that pretty. That is really neat. Let me come through here and see if there's anything there. Yes. Let's go to now number 3. Let's Command or Control click number 3. Let's hit Command H, but do not blast it. I need to go to the number 3 color, which in this case is this orangey color, but I don't want to blast it. I want to influence what's already there here. Okay, that's beautiful. See how this has a little skin color, flesh color orange in it? Well, that's what's coming off here. Now I need to do it on top right there, and that is so pretty. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. This is how big the selection was. I don't think I need to use that entire selection at all. And I haven't even, you know what? I didn't even diffuse this edge. You see how hard this edge is? I need to go back and diffuse it. So that's in my painting, which is way down here. Let me turn that off. And you see that one that I'm turning off and on? I need to just go take the layer mask and just go back and paint on the layer mask. It doesn't even have a layer mask yet. So I'm going to deselect, add a layer mask. Whoops, wrong thing I clicked. And I'm going to add a layer mask to that, but we're going to keep on going on our texture. So I have to see, I forget what we're on actually. So I was on number 3. I'm going to use the same thing on this red layer here. So I'm going to add a little bit more of this bright red. I think before I do that, however, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to go to the number 4 color, make a selection of the number 4 selection, which I've just done. I'm going to use the number 4 color. Look at how I'm holding that over there to make sure that's the number 4 color. I'm going to hide the selection, and I'm going to paint number 4's color. So let me see where I am. And let's now come into here. Okay, that's adding a little bit of the brightness in there. Look at how that's adding and softening some of that mouth area layer there. And that's absolutely beautiful. Let's go to number 5 and make a selection of number 5. Let's hit Command H and click the number 5 color. And now let me make sure where it is, and let's come in here now and get that highlight to come in pretty. I'm going to make the brush smaller and sweep it across here. And then we should give everything a 1 pixel Gaussian blur. Let me go to the highlights now. And I need to feather that top of the mouth. So I'm hitting Command S to save the file. Let's now go to the highlight one. Let's hit Command H on that. Let's grab the highlight color. Let's make sure we're on the correct layer. And now this should be the highlights here, and this should come across and be the highlights over here. And let's back off on that mouth and see where we are. We're pretty good. I need some refinement, and I need to mellow out the mouth. I wonder how many minutes I have on this one. I'm going to deselect it, and I'm going to go down to that mouth area there. And I just want to show you that if I paint in black on the layer mask, which I don't even have black in the foreground color, and I'm painting only at 5, I now want to go soften that edge. I want to go not have it be so prominent. So let me soften it here. Let's come around and soften it through here. Wow, that really needs to soften all the way down. So let's almost eradicate it from being there. Okay, and now let's come over here and soften it here. So it just mellows right out into the face color. And that's what we now see this highlight that's above the mouth. Now with that highlight, it's not there yet. With that highlight, it will really work. Now let's soften the bottom of this as well. Let me see actually what I am. Let me turn off the layer. Okay, that one is there, but there's also another one that is the dark tone for the bottom. I think it's this one, and this one together, and this one together. I have to see which one it is. So it's not just these 3. I want to find where that is, right where I'm pointing, right there. So I'm going to hit the V key, make sure I'm deselected, and I'm going to right-hand click right now. It's mouth red 5. So I have to actually take away mouth red 5. Actually, I had to turn off the layer. It's still not there. Let's see if it's mouth red 3. Actually, I still want to go to here, and it's mouth red 5 darker under. That's it. So it took me 3 times to turn off different layers in order to find where that was. Now I'm going to hit the B key, and now I can soften this. Right there. Let's come across here and soften that one. Let's turn back on all the layers that need to get turned back on, and I will soften things as I need to. So let's go back to here. Let's go back to here and here. And now I need to do a couple of things, which I'm going to do on the next one. So now here is our file. I'm saving it. The mouth area is fairly good, and you can see what I've got here, and I like what I have. Now I'm going to mellow out the creases and darken the area around the mouth to get it to work with the rest of the face. So I'll see you on the next movie.